session. Where did I lose time? Where can I get around that? Let me think around a lap of the circuit. And there'll be, of course, a little bit of time to talk to the engineer. Freddie Slater has just pulled up on the grid, and so also there is the poleman, Arvin Lindblad. You see it's a one-by-one staggered grid formation, Formula One style, and out gets Freddie Slater. Takes off his gloves, the crash helmet will come off, and he will join the other drivers standing in front of the line of the scrutineering team, it is, at the front of the grid, ready to go through the ceremony with the dignitaries. That's Arvin Lindblad, as you can gather from his overalls. He's a Red Bull athlete, and he drives for Rennie Rossin's Prema team, so the engineer's there just to unplug him. See the brand on the back of the helmet, the AL. British driver, Arvin Lindblad, as I say, and he's just been told by the Macau officials, please now go to the front of the grid. But although the drivers can stand, the teams can't. They just check the tyre pressures, make sure that they are absolutely right, that no air has escaped, or that they've not overpressured them, ready for the formation lap, which will be coming up shortly.
So more and more drivers make their way to the start-finish line, just in front of the line of officials. This is all before the presentation of drivers will take place. Get them in the right place. There will also be a full class of 2023 photograph taken down here, and therefore the world's media are just a little way back down here on the grid, forming up a start line just below at the bottom of the screen. As you're looking at it, the photographers are all there, and there are plenty of them as well. We'll get a nice wide shot of all of the drivers about to compete in the Macau Formula 4 race, and that's a lot of photographers for weekend one, isn't it?
It is. But interesting, isn't it, or significant, illustrating the importance of this race, that it hasn't got a sponsor as such. The name goes to Macau, and it is Macau itself that takes centre stage. There are the drivers then, all ready to do battle. Jack Beaton, the Australian, Arvin Lindblad there, and the officials. And Freddie Slater, along with Charles Lung. Some nervous, some eager to get on with it. Vivian Su. So there are the drivers ready to go into battle. Got one more to come. So I think everybody is now present and correct.
Is that another one walking down as
well?
Yes,
no, there is one straggler, you're quite right. Yes.
You're late for assembly.
Teenagers, what can you do with them? There is another one on his way.
Which way do I go? This way, that way? And that's a relieved Macau official indicating where to go. And I think do we have a full class now?
I think so. Yes, register will be taken, but we should have everybody.
You're late. Oh, we're counting them as well, just to make sure that they're all here, which is good news. And one long line of Macau officials and drivers about to compete in the Macau Formula 4 race, all lined up at the front.
Yes, the one that we lost from yesterday was Jaden Parriott, who had been racing in the British Championship, was on the entry list, but I don't think ever turned a wheel yesterday, which is a real shame, because he would have been another quick contender. So as the drivers stand and wait, we will have the dignitaries brought forward in a few moments' time, and then the countdown will be underway. One formation lap, and then we'll be into racing. I think there might be another driver yet coming forward.
Might I suggest he's going to get told off?
You might well be right.
Yeah.
Stand there, sir. Right, he does at the end. Can't see this on the pictures, but we can, from our eyrie, look down onto the grid. So we've rounded up almost everybody. There's another one to come.
Oh.
So now the form of drivers, what have we got? 22 of them, stretches right the way across the track from one side to the other.
So I think they're all in place now, and the presentation of drivers will take place first, and following on from that we will have the photograph opportunity, and then the drivers can do what they want to do, as in put the helmets back on, get into the cars and begin the build-up to the race as far as the machinery is concerned.
Bianca Bustamante there, the McLaren driver development program member, and Dragon, the Japanese character, who is really Ryuji Kumita. Didn't start racing until he was 46. He's now 56. So you talk about teenagers. Well, there is one exception. He's raced in Japanese Formula 3 and Formula 4 for many, many seasons. Has raced here before, in fact, as well, Ryuji Kumita. But it'll be fascinating to see how he goes in this race. You also saw there Mika Koyama, double Kyoto Cup winner, and also Formula Regional Japan Championship winner as well, the Japanese female racer. And the other female representation on the grid you saw also Bianca Bustamante, and there is Vivian Su, the hedge fund manager. So as the drivers are standing ready, that now means that the dignitaries can be brought forward. And so as you look down onto the Macau circuit, there the Secretary for Social Affairs and Culture and President of the Macau Grand Prix Organising Committee, Ms. Ai Yong-u, greets and poses with the Formula 4 race drivers in the company of the President of Sports Bureau and Coordinator of the Organising Committee, Mr. Pun Wen-kun, and the President of the Automobile General Association Macau, China, and Coordinator of the Sporting Subcommittee, Mr. Chong Kok Bang. They join the drivers at the front of the grid. All smiles in and amongst the odd nervous face. And once the official photographs are taken, then the drivers will be allowed back to their cars, which are now surrounded by grid girls, by team personnel. And then we will get ready for our final race of this first weekend of the 70th Macau Grand Prix, the Macau Formula 4 race.
That's quite a photograph for the family album, isn't it? As a spontaneous round of applause greets the end of the photographic opportunity. And as the dignitaries make their way off the grid, so too will the world's press. I'd say 50 or 60 strong, the photographers down there on the grid. They've got a new media centre to enjoy. They've got probably 5 or 6 times the space that they used to have here at Macau for the new media centre.
Yeah, but they need more space these days, because the photographers, they have to bring laptops and more laptops. True. You spend more time, I think, editing and photoshopping now than taking pictures. I mean, you see them all with bags and with more bags. I mean, haven't they got a phone like a normal person to take pictures with? What's the matter with them?
They do need more space, you're right. And judging on the photographers I know, plenty of sweets as well over the course of the day, required to keep the old sugar levels up, because they work very hard in the media centre, that's for sure. But you're quite right, we need a slightly larger... In fairness, the world's press that come to this event had probably outgrown the media centre here at Macau some years ago, so it was very, very welcome that we've got this new building here. And now we can begin the more usual preparation for a race for these drivers, because it's now about getting into the car, getting ready, and thinking about getting into the visualization of the opening lap for this 12-lap race for the Macau F4 race this weekend. One thing we've said, sorry David.
No, I was just going to say, that's looking down on the grid, a variety of nationalities, 2 Brits at the front, then a Macau driver, and then an Emirati just seen there, which was Rashid Al-Bahiri. We'll go through the grid in more depth, but then Australia represented, for Jack Beaton there. And you were going to say? And
we have said for the last 3 years that Formula 4 cars just work around the gear circuit here at Macau. It was a voyage into the unknown, wasn't it? Because Formula 3 cars first came here in 1983. famously the Grand Prix won by Ayrton Senna. Ayrton Senna is honoured around Macau, not just this weekend, but all the time. And very proud, I think, Macau is that Ayrton won the first Formula 3 race for the Macau Grand Prix here at Macau. But it was a voyage into the unknown to use Formula 4 cars after so many years of Formula 3, and they worked. From year one, 2020, they just worked. And now as drivers begin to get themselves ready, gloves on, helmet on, they'll be strapped into the cars. We are on the final countdown to get this 12-lap race underway. Bianca Bustamante is popping the hair down the back of the overalls over the balaclava. Does up the race overalls. Helmet will go on. Hands device as well attached to the helmets. And a thumbs up from Enzo Yeh. And I wonder how many of these helmets are designed just for this weekend. I reckon quite a few of them. Very, very colourful designs on cars and helmets in this part of the world. And as overalls are zipped up and drivers get themselves into the cars, they can begin to now do the more normal preparation for the start of a race.
Yes, that first visit of Formula 3, which was all pulled together by the late Barry Bland so successfully, came at the end of an epic British Formula 3 season, 1983, when Ayrton Senna and Martin Brundle went toe-to-toe. Ayrton winning the championship, and then they came to the non-championship, of course, Macau Grand Prix, different liveries, but still driving with WSR, West Surrey Racing. Ayrton took the title in Britain. He then took the Macau Grand Prix victory. In those days, British Formula 3 was able, because there was a British Formula 3, to race at a variety of circuits that it's started to outgrow not long after, such as Cadwell Park. And Freddie Slater is probably the only person on this grid that can claim to have been a race winner at Cadwell Park, because he was there winning in Ginetta Juniors this year. The last person to win at Cadwell Park and then race at Macau in the same season is probably Martin Brundle in 1983. But because it wasn't long after that, but as I say, F3 stopped going to Cadwell, and such is the nature of packaged motorsport that very, very few of the modern generation of driver have been there. But Ginetta went. Ginetta Junior Racing was mopped up by Freddie Slater this year with 16 victories on his way to the title. He did that so early, he was then able to start next year's programme early by coming into F4. 53 down on the grid is Marco Lau. Lau Siu-Hua. He is set to go as the mechanics strap him in. Number 34 crashed out yesterday. Martinius Stenshorn, whose father used to race in the States in his youth. And that car is going to be on the 10th row along with Hadrien David, who was another driver in the wars this morning. There he is in the Kodak colours on his overalls. Hadrien David, the 2019 French Formula 4 champion. So for him to be in the wall this morning came as a bit of a shock.
Certainly did, yeah, and we'll be looking to make up places early on in this race. They've got more laps to do it in, but you never know how many safety car interruptions there may or may not be over the course of 12 laps. It's the final race of the day. The track is already indicated as being a little bit slippy down at the exit of turn 2. It's a very quick part of the circuit as well. They know what it's like, and the fact that most of the cars elected to use multiple laps when the pit lane was open to explore the track. I'm pretty sure that that would have been a major part of it, exploring just how slippy things are down at the exit of Mandarin, because you most certainly would not want to have a problem. It's a very, very quick part of the circuit down there.
Yes, very true indeed. And of course, there are very few people other than Charles Leung at the pointy end of this grid with much circuit knowledge, because traditionally, you know, a junior category like this, people come into it, if they're good, they move on and up. As Alan's made the point, the last few years, F4 has taken centre stage because of the travel restrictions. But Charles Leung has got two very quick teammates that somehow he's got to try to find a way past.
He certainly has, and the Macau driver, how proud is that a Macau driver takes the top step of the Macau Grand Prix podium twice here in the last 3 years, and Charles Leung lines up third on the grid. very proudly with the Macau flag alongside on the timing screen. That will also appear should he be on the podium, at the back of the podium, because now on the back of the podium after last year we have a huge LED screen. It shows the flags of the nations and it also shows the action, which is soon to get underway.
Arvin Lindblad on pole position. Freddie Slater with him at the front of the 1x1 staggered grid, ahead of Charles Leung and Rashid Al-Daheri. Then Jack Beaton and Ethan Ho are ahead of Rafael Narak and the Chinese F4 Championship leader, Macau driver Thiago Rodriguez. Bianca Bustamante goes from 9th ahead of Enzo Ye, Miki Koyama and Zhao Kunpeng. Then it is Chu Ka Kam and in number 4, Marcus Chung. Next is Thomas Leung and Riji Kumita, ahead of Vivian Siu and Marco Lau. Martinia Stensorn is next from Adrian David, and then Kai Darianani and Lu Kai Shun complete the grid. 12 laps are in prospect for this Macau F4 race.
That's our pole position driver, and of course the winner, therefore, of the qualification race this morning, Arvid Lindblad, alongside Freddie Slater on the front row of the grid. I say the front row of the grid, it's a staggered grid formation, but for the sake of going through the grid, front row of the grid for Arvid Lindblad and for Freddie Slater, and Charles Leung third on the grid with the Macau flag proudly on the front of the car. The number 11 car, double winner here for the Macau Grand Prix, and equipping himself very well against some very, very quick drivers this weekend. Number 14 on the grid is next, Rashid Al-Daheri, and just focusing, said before the drivers got in the cars about the prospect of visualising. They tend to close their eyes and get into the zone of working out exactly what's going to happen on the formation lap and then the opening lap of the race. It's a big thing.
Yes, you kind of think the drivers have nodded off, but they're thinking their way through a lap. As
don't approach while they're doing it.
No, quite.
That's what I've learnt over the years.
Tilt over to see Ethan Ho there for Team KRC, a driver that's done quite a bit of his racing in America in Formula 2000, but the driver from Chinese Taipei coming back into F4 style cars for this weekend, and that's number 1 of Rafael Narak, whose father Raymond was a Le Mans class winner in the IMSA MacBook Porsche days that he used to share with the likes of Patrick Pilet, amongst others. And as the grid is being cleared, formation lap ready to get underway. That's Bianca Bustamante, who has been racing in the F1 Academy, 7th in the championship with 2 wins this year, and managed by a race winner already today, Darrell Young. But she was a W Series driver and then drove in the F1 Academy, which has sort of been born out of the ill-fated W Series. Most recently, Filipino driver she is. So with the lights flashing as the car's engines are fired, the grid is being cleared, and very shortly they will be allowed away for that formation lap. Can I put you on the spot for a winner?
No,
okay.
Thanks very much indeed, but please do not adjust your television sets, because they are the flashing lights on the rear of the cars. It's a feature of the current Formula 4 cars. Hang on, am I going to pick a winner?
Well, he hedged nicely to try not to.
Freddie Slater.
Okay.
Why? Because I saw his debut in British Formula 4 this year, and it was incredibly impressive.
It would be a very good story for the Brits, as it would be if Arvin Lindblad were to win it, because he is a British driver also, and I suspect that he's probably just going to shade Freddie, if only because he's got a bit more F4 experience, whereas Freddie has had to come from a closed Ginetta Junior into this. Not saying for a moment that he's not made the transfer very well. He has. He's been exceptionally impressive for a limited season. But Arvin Lindblad has just got that little bit more experience of single-seaters, and maybe that's just showed in the qualifying race this morning.
Anything can happen at Macau, and we're about to see that over the course of 12 laps around the gear circuit for F4 cars. The Macau Formula 4 race is very soon to get underway. The klaxons sound. The last few members of the teams that are directly responsible for the starting of the cars run off the grid. The last few camera crew run off the grid as well. And now this is just normal life for a racing driver. It's what they're used to, left alone with just the driver and the machine, and 12 laps ahead around the gear circuit. What a treat for these drivers.
But what pressure for these drivers as well, because Macau can make careers, can't it? Win here do well in the so-called Macau test, and it is absolutely huge to put on your CV. Whether it's in F3 or F4, then these drivers, if they come away from this weekend saying, I was on the podium, I won the Macau F4 race, then that is going to put them in a really strong bargaining position for a drive for next year, for the year after, for the year after that. The formation lap is about to get underway. We have got 22 drivers set to take on the Macau F4 race. That green flag sends them away to put the warmth into the rubber. One more lap before we go racing, and then we're going to crown a Macau F4 race winner in the biggest F4 race probably in the history of the category in terms of an international shootout. We've got a couple of cars that don't want to get off the line, and if you are last away and everybody else has gone past you, you should not overtake to get your grid position back. I think everybody has got away. Yeah. And the last car on the grid was the last away. In other words, Liu Kai-shun was at the back, so therefore everybody is away and is able to take their grid position as you look down onto that bit of speedy dry coming out of Mandarin, and they've got to be mindful of that on lap 1 as well.
You're aware of the gravity of this event, aren't you, as you have all of that build-up, and now just this moment of solitary car and driver as they make their way around the circuit to get heat into the tyres. They're coming to the point now which is a bit more difficult to weave the cars because the circuit gets ever narrower and the barriers kind of beckon you in to get closer and closer, but not close enough. They are not very forgiving, the barriers here at Macau, and nor are the walls. They don't give, not 1 inch.
No.
You cannot afford to make a mistake at Macau, and every single one of these drivers knows that. Some of them to their peril over the course of the last 2 days. Now they are about to start with a clean sheet, the start of a 12-lap race around the Macau circuit. Talk about the drivers getting nervous. Getting fairly nervous myself.
Are your tyres warm? Are you ready to go?
My boots are ready to go.
You've got grip, you've got grip, that's good. So as the drivers then come towards the police and Moorish, jinking left and right, even in sort of full weave, just that movement, getting the tyres a little bit warmer, and of course getting the pressures up as well, because it is not only that you go into battle, of course, on tyres that you need to be warm, but you're going into the first 3 corners, which are blindingly fast. That is not only not a place for the faint-hearted, it's certainly not a section of the circuit not to have traction.
It's not the place for the faint-hearted and not the place for cold tyres.
No, indeed.
Particularly we've got this slippery surface on the exits of Mandarin, so be careful everyone. Let's see just what a clean race we can have for the Macau Formula 4 race. Pole position, Arvid Lindblad, the race winner from the opening race of the day for the qualification race. That was only 8 laps, so an extra 3 laps for, extra 4 laps for the race this afternoon. Yeah,
it should have been 9, but because of the interruptions, it ran out of time.
That's right.
So the checkered flag came out at the 25-minute mark, which was the allotted time. This is a 40-minute time point for this race, so it is going to be 12 laps or 40 minutes, and therefore the expectation is that we get it all in. But as the cars come to the grid then, Arvid Lindblad with the Prema run car for pole position, Freddie Slater second on the grid. Charles Lung knows what it is like to be on the top step of the podium here. Can he do it for a 3rd time?
Do you know what I always wonder? I wonder when you see the pole position car weaving the car really a lot from side to side, why you would follow and not do the same? Because you so often see it, don't you? Maybe you get to the 5th or the 6th car and they're just going straight.
Yes, yes.
I'd take my lead from the pole position car because those tyres are well up to temperature now, aren't they?
They are indeed. So to differentiate the Prema cars with the yellow roll hoop, it is Arvid Lindblad. With the red one, it's Freddie Slater. And it's going to be a real clash between those two. With respect to Charles Lung, he just didn't have quite the pace in qualifying, and I suspect he might not necessarily be able to match those two when we go racing, but we are about to find out. When 72, Liu Kai-shun arrives on the grid, that will be the indication for the marshal there on the right to wave the green flag. That in turn will let the 5-second board be shown on the gantry, and then the red lights will be on.
And we are about to get our 12-lap race for the Macau Formula 4 race underway. The red lights are on, they go out, and A very good start from pole position for Arvid Lindblad. Gets away, gets off the line well. Everybody else jostling for position as they go on this all-important run down ultimately to the overtaking position. Look at them all sorting themselves out in order. Great start there from the top 3 cars.
And Lindblad, you saw going left and right, trying to break the toe from Freddie Slater, who is right there in the wheel tracks, and now he's getting the slipstream all the way down to Lisboa. What he wants to do, if he can, is to try to get up on the inside line. Lindblad covers that off. Charles Lewin gets a toe from both of them. Freddie Slater to the outside line. Lindblad locks up. Slater locks up in avoidance. He's going to go deep into the corner. Lewin gets up the inside, but he can't quite go through. There's drama, and that eliminates 2, 3, 4 already. And I think the first one that ploughed into the barriers there, well, that's going to go nowhere. We're going to end up with a safety car, I rather fear, because you can see the traffic jam behind. Marcus Chung's got involved in all of that. So the first group of cars is away. We'll wait and see whether a neutralisation comes next.
That was nearly a gift moment for Charles Lung, wasn't it, going through Lisboa? That's a look at it once again. He has a look on the inside. They just avoid front and rear wheels touching as they go on the run down towards San Francisco. And this is where the car park started. Everyone else trying to funnel through the pinch point.
Mika Koyama, number 8, was the one that got sideways and ended up in the tyres and then got collected. So the safety car, I think, is going to be deployed here. We'll see, but it's on standby as the leaders come through, and Lindblad is getting away from Slater. I think Freddie was, he kind of got it to work because he forced an error out of Lindblad. He got him to lock up, but because he was on the outside, he couldn't slow down in time and get the undercut. Yeah. That's what opened the door for Lund.
It was, and we are going to require a lift. There are multiple cranes down there at Lisboa, and for very good reason as well.
Yeah.
It's not unknown for cars to, it's a lot tighter than you actually think, and I've said this a few times during commentary today. I did a little track walk down to Lisboa the other day and was really surprised just how tight it is as you turn into the corner. It's incredible. We take for granted that 9 times out of 10 everyone safely gets through the area. We've got a safety car deployed because we've got cranes in place and they are trying to clear Lisboa as quickly as possible. But that was very exciting from the top 3.
Yeah.
An opportunity shown there by Charles, shown to Charles Lung. Freddie Slater was brave, wasn't he? Knew he had to have a go at the start of the race, and that's the place to do it as well.
So Arvid Lindblad will lead them across the line at the end of lap 1 with Freddie Slater and Charles Lung in 2nd and 3rd places. Now, this could be the dream result for Prema. In a sense, they don't mind which driver it is, but a 1, 2, 3 would be absolutely spot on. 4th is Rashid Al-Dakhari, 5th it is Jack Beaton, and 6th is Ethan Ho. Rafael Narak 7th, Thiago Rodriguez 8th, Enzo is 9th and 10th. Now that's good progress. From 19th on the grid to 10th in a lap, Martinius Stenzel. Okay, I know a few tangled and he got a sort of lucky run through on the inside, but he did that absolutely right. In 11th place it is Chui Kar Kam. In 12th place, number 22, which is the Thomas Lung car ahead of Marco Lau from the rear of the grid. In 14th place, Kai Darianani, so he's made a little bit of progress from 21st. 15th, it is Lukai Shun, and then Ruji Kumita. Hadrian David was delayed, as also Bianca Bustamante, then Miki Koyama, Zhao Kumpeng, Marcus Chung, and Vivian Siu, all delayed in greater or lesser degrees by that Schmozzle down here a lap ago.
And look at that, clear as they go round Lisboa now. How quick was that? Multiple cars, and bear in mind that you can see a touring car go in there, get reverse, get the circuit clear. With a single seater, that much more difficult because inevitably there's going to be suspension damage at least the front of the car.
Yeah, I think had it been 1, that would have been okay,
yeah.
But 3 or 4 to retrieve, slightly more difficult.
Good work, that wasn't it?
Absolutely. So the safety car should be in this time, and we can go back racing. And this is where Freddie Slater needs to be on his toes because he gets another run here at Lindblad all the way down to Lisboa. But again, even on that start, you know, Arvid looked the stronger. He knew what Freddie Slater was going to try and do to him, and he put the car exactly where it needed to be in the middle of the road.
So Lisboa is just in front of the Grand Lisboa Hotel, and if ever you wanted to make sure of attention over the course of the weekend, it is to get your name on that corner.
Yes.
Because Lisboa gets mentioned an awful lot during the course of a Macau Grand Prix weekend. It's just the most beautiful overtaking opportunity, and the run down towards that corner is in single-seaters, in GT cars or in touring cars is absolutely enthralling.
So through they all turn. This, of course, all counting within the 12 laps within the race. But Arvin Lindblad strong at the moment then. He has been one of the leading lights this year in the Winter Series, if you like, in the UAE for F4, 5th in that. He went to race in the Italian Championship, finished 3rd, and in the Euro 4 Championship, which is a sort of German-Italian regional championship. German series having rather expired, but enough interest in trying to keep it alive from some of the teams, and he was 4th in that as well. So he's done a lot of miles in a short space of time. Freddie Slater, who is, as Alan was suggesting, a late arrival at the F4 ball, having won the Ginetta Junior Winter Series last year and the main championship this year, then did British F4, Italian F4 and Euro F4 in quick succession in sort of September onwards.
Confirmation coming that the safety car will come in at the end of this lap, so we will be racing once again at the completion of 2 laps of this 70th Macau Grand Prix weekend, Macau Formula 4 race. Now let's see what the...
Now that was Freddie Slater slow, wasn't it?
Was.
Charles Lung almost getting ahead of him.
Slowing a lot.
Yeah, because Arvin Lindblad has slowed a lot. So the leader slows them right down. Freddie Slater slowed in tandem, and I think it was Charles Lung a bit being caught out there because they slowed rather suddenly. But anyway, they've got themselves in the right order. And Arvin Lindblad almost at snail's pace. Now gets the pace up and accelerates away, but Freddie Slater goes with him as he had to try to do. Second guess when he's going to accelerate, and although they'll come off the corner with a couple of lengths between them, Freddie Slater should be just about close enough to stay in the slipstream.
Good reactions that from Freddie Slater to stay with the pole position car, and does so, turns around the final turn. They are now going to complete 2 laps, but Freddie did a really good job there. It was a little bit of an unusual, slightly peculiar restart because they all slowed so much, and Charles Lung just putting a wheel in front of the second place car was, just caught out. But now Freddie Slater is making the most of it. He's right on the tail of his teammate.
He's got to get in the toe now to try and do that move at Lisboa once again. Lindblad will know that and starts to try to break the toe, but Slater's got the pace and he's very definitely able to go with him this time. But he's teed up this move once already on the outside to try to get the undercut. He can't go round the outside. He's going to slow down the car, duck up the inside coming out of the corner, and he can't do it. So Arvin Lindblad stays ahead, but Slater now has got the pace and he's got the bit between his teeth.
Thought he was going to have a look at San Francisco as well. He didn't. He slotted in right behind. But goodness me, this is good racing between the two of them. Charles Lung, who is the double winner here at Macau, has got a grandstand view of this. Has anyone told Freddie that you don't overtake there?
Well, Lindblad made a little mistake himself by going wide, going up the hill, so it compromised the run, and that's exactly what Freddie Slater is trying to do. He is pushing, and Lindblad knows that he's got to try to defend now because he realises he's in a big battle. His teammate ain't going away, and Lindblad just ever so slightly scrappy that time on the way up the hill.
This is such an exciting race between the two teammates, isn't it? Freddie Slater really applying the pressure. It's all come off the back of a really good restart, but Freddie slows. He's
got a problem. So Slater's got a problem, and Lindblad gets a free ride. Lund goes second. So all of a sudden, something has gone wrong for Freddie Slater. It looks like it's mechanical because I don't think we've seen him hit anything.
No.
So Freddie Slater's car suddenly slows and it's crawling around.
Drama at Macau as ever there is. Poor Freddie Slater, he'd done such a good job on the restart. He had pushed the race leader into a tiny error, which is exactly what he needed to happen. It almost worked, and then you couldn't believe it, could you? Something goes wrong with the car and the car slows. Charles Lung now in second place, and Charles Lung inheriting that second place as a result of teammate Freddie Slater having some kind of a problem. What a shame.
So if the car makes it as far as the pit lane, more to do with that story might well reveal itself, but now Arvin Lindblad can breathe a sigh of relief because he really was being given a tough time. Charles Lung second, and then it's going to be Rashid Al-Bahiri in third place. Jack Beaton, the Australian driver there in the background, is fourth as they come now over the timing line once again. So it's Lindblad with a big advantage over Lung.
Certainly does, yeah. That's a gift to our race leader, isn't it? Lindblad took the qualification race win this morning. As a result of that, takes pole position. He was being really put under pressure by his teammate Freddie Slater for the lead of the race. Twice going into Lisboa, he had to really keep his wits about him to keep Freddie at bay. And then, all of a sudden, the teammate slows, and we are robbed of the race, but Lindblad is very much gifted a slightly more comfortable entry to Lisboa this time.
And Freddie Slater has, I think, just made it about as far as the pit lane, as Arvin Lindblad then leads by nearly 2 seconds from Charles Leung, and then Rashid Al-Daheri in third place. Now remember, there's only really Leung in that leading group that knows the circuit, so the others, to be either ahead or running with him, are doing a very good job indeed.
Now the problem with the result sheet is it doesn't necessarily show how good a performance has been, because if Freddie doesn't win this race or finish up on the podium, his name is not there in the record books necessarily. But that was a super opening couple of laps.
Can I just mention that he's done a first sector time, Freddie Slater, quicker than anybody on this lap, as though the car had an electrical cutout and he's had to restart it, and now it's back in the race. So
and now it's back to normal.
Yeah, he came over the timing line. I thought he was coming down the pit lane, but actually he's carried on, and he did a 25.6 in the first sector, which is quicker than anybody on this lap. So he's not going to win the race. The safety car might help him gain a few more places back, but it was as though the car cut out and he had to do an electrical restart, or maybe he accidentally pulled a switch and did something, but the car for the moment looks to be okay. I'm
very pleased the car hasn't come into pit lane, because this might be quite exciting to watch Freddie if he's got a good car for the rest of the race. Also, with a little bit of the old red mist getting involved as well, he's going to be really fired up for this, and that's going to be great to see.
18th he is at the moment.
18th at the moment, so that's at the end of 3 laps, so 3 laps completed now. Meanwhile, our race leader, Arvin Lindblad, the winner from the qualification race this morning, has put in the overall fastest lap of the race. Well, he can now, because he is not under the pressure that he was, but we've got a safety car. A safety car is deployed for the second time. 2:26.6 is the fastest lap that Lindblad has put in, but now they're all going to bunch up together once again. And well, on the restart last time, Lindblad was put under a great deal of pressure by his teammate Freddie Slater. I wonder if Charles is able to put him under a similar amount of pressure on the restart this time. So, a little bit more tricky to get the 1, 2, 3 for the team now.
Very, but what did Freddie Slater do on that lap? Well, we'll know when he comes across the timing line and see if he's gained any places at all. So getting a replay here of the reason for the safety car. I want to say that was Marco Lau going straight on, but I may be telling you an untruth in that. So it was him, and Freddie Slater is up into 16th place, so he's gained a couple of spots.
A couple of spots on that lap. It's tricky, you know, even if you've got really good pace, the amount of opportunities to get past other cars on this circuit are fairly limited. And therefore Lisboa is a great overtaking position, but when you're making your way through back markers, this element of the circuit is not the place to do it.
No, it's just too narrow, isn't it? You can do some of it coming out of Malco hairpin down through Black Sands, and then the road seems to get wider and faster for the next section all the way to Lisboa. That was, again, in Freddie Slater's mind early on. Be in the tow, use that, because you can slipstream down there, and we saw the benefits, but then whatever the problem was, it just looked like the car may have cut out heading up the hill, because it seems to now be back at a proper pace. Arvin Lindblad did lead by 2.8 seconds, but the advantage will disappear completely now that the cars behind all catch up under the safety car like this.
So exciting stuff so far. We've got 4 laps complete. We've got a 12-lap race for the Macau Formula 4 race, and now once again they know what to do. Keep heating tyres is the most important thing. And also, they're going to be well aware that last time on the restart, Arvin Lindblad really did slow down to slow up the whole of the field, and maybe left some of them a little bit confused just how much the field was slowed down.
Indeed so, but the other fight, I think we're going to keep an eye on when we get the race back underway. Will be third, the last place on the podium. It could be Rashid Al-Daheri, who we've seen this most recent season racing again in the Italian Championship. He was 10th in that, but also Jack Beaton, who again has been in the Italian Championship and Euro F4. He's been a rapid Australian Formula Ford racer and car sisters, Jack Beaton. He drives for the AGI Sport team. But bearing in mind that he was quick on Friday in free practice until he crashed, the podium would be a good way to round out the weekend.
It most certainly would, wouldn't it? And I'd like to have a look at that Italian Championship, because it seems to attract some jolly good drivers,
yeah,
doesn't it?
Does. Yeah, yeah. They go to some good venues, and it's positioning itself now really as the mainland Europe Championship. and such is the popularity that Euro 4 championship to go elsewhere to Germany, for example. Spain's quite strong as well, but yeah, the Italian has always had a good reputation, and some good teams there too.
British one was looking pretty good for international drivers this year as well, wasn't it? You can tell because on the timing screen you get the flags of the nations of the drivers, and it was for the first time that we had that this year, and it really did. It reminded me of British Formula 3 back in the 1980s and 90s when drivers came from all over the world. It was the place to come, wasn't it, to the British Championship, and now maybe that's happening for British F4 as well.
And of course it had a race on the Grand Prix circuit at Silverstone, didn't it? So it was giving the drivers in that a taste of what a Grand Prix venue is like, and really star billing as well.
They became the headline act, and it was very impressive because one of the drivers that won over the course of that weekend on the live stream television got out of the car, and when asked how he felt, used the sort of language that maybe he would use to his friends rather than on the television. So it's a learning curve in Formula 4, isn't it?
And they need a good media trainer.
Unfortunately, I was the media trainer.
Oh, I see, right, okay.
So we merely used him as an example as the year went on.
You don't do.
See, he took it all in very good taste.
Right, we've done now 5 of the 12 laps in this second safety car period, and the cars now make that run to Mandarin as their Marco Lau walks away from the car.
Gets into the recovery vehicle and is about to set off on his way with car on board, and that means maybe we can get this race back underway fairly soon because we've got 5 laps complete. We've got 12 laps in total, weaving the cars now from side to side to get as much heat retained in the tyres as possible. Now the leader of the race starts doing the same as well. Charles Leung has been weaving the car for quite some time, and now this time Arvid Lindblad sticking right to the back of the Lamborghini as they go around Lisboa up towards San Francisco Hill, and now onto the tight stretch of the circuit. The safety car driver and that Lamborghini been pretty busy today, over the course of today, leading every race? Yeah, every race.
Every race has been out of the car.
I'm
low on fuel now. New set of tyres needed for tomorrow because it's had some abuse, had some hammer. Right, Arvid Lindblad versus Charles Leung for the lead. Rashid Al Naheri versus Jack Beaton for third. Ethan Ho is fifth and Rafael Narak sixth. And Martinius Stenson deserves a big hat tip. 19th he started and 7th he is now.
Well, we did rather wonder, and he needs a bit of luck because luck has not been on his side yesterday or today, but speed certainly has over the course of these 2 days of the opening weekend for the 70th Macau Grand Prix. I love Formula 4 cars around this circuit. They just look good, really good.
Martinius Stenson, just to make the point, was a F4 racer last year, but in the Italian Championship, should you be asking, took a race win, 7th in the series. Yeah, but this year he's been racing something a bit more powerful. He's been in the Formula Regionale Championship. He took a pole and a win first time out at Imola, 4 wins during the course of the year, runner-up in the championship. Now, Formula Regionale, which is a sort of merger of Formula Regional and Formula Renault Euro Cup of years past, is a very competitive championship, split qualifying into groups, really tough championship. So to be the runner-up in that in your first full season in it is impressive, and he's showing that racecraft here by, as we say, being up in the 7th. And he's not done yet. This safety car will help him because it bunches up those ahead.
Certainly will, yeah. So 7th place from what, 19th?
19th
on the grid. That's a good Sunday's work, isn't it,
Yep.
at the end of the day for Martinius. So let's see what the journey is going to continue to do, because we are not yet at half distance. We will be at the ends of this lap. We are on lap 6 laps completed at the end of this lap, and that is the recovery of the reason for the red flag. That's now Siuwa and the Hong Kong driver's car, and the Hong Kong driver as well in the recovery vehicle, going back to base now, back to the paddock, and with the Lamborghini leading the field round for the Melco hairpin, we could well be getting this race back underway.
Indeed so, and the lights staying on for the moment, so I rather fear one more lap. But
I think so, because of the amount of distance the recovery vehicle has got to cover, I'm afraid. So it might be just one more lap.
it's a really tough one sometimes for the race officials, because you want the safety car to go quickly enough to enable the drivers to maintain a sensible temperature in the tyres, but not so quickly that it's coming round so often that you're losing laps under the safety car, even on a long lap like this. So one more lap then behind the safety car. That puts 6 in the book, and we're at halfway now.
And they know where the recovery is taking place, so they've seen that the recovery vehicle is on its way. So they know now to get even more heat into the tyres and to weave the car a little bit more oil, or something slippery is down at that corner as a legacy of that incident. So the slippery surface flag is being displayed. The marshals work, you can't see it because it's just behind the fence there on that camera angle, but that was the one thing that we didn't think about. We just thought the car had been recovered and therefore we could get the race back underway. Not until we get the slippery surface dealt with.
Now the marshal heading off, I think, for some more speedy dry to put down on the liquid. So fingers crossed this will be the last lap. They're all frantically working as quickly as possible to sort out the circuit, and then the race director, if he's happy, can give the call, and we can get the race back underway then for the resumption of the Macau F4 race. The slippery surface in that incident area confirms that the teams are aware. They can tell the drivers that, and we'll be back racing as soon as.
So was that the reason for the incident, or as a result of the incident? Because it's at 2 places, isn't it?
I would have thought it was
a result of,
frankly.
Yeah.
What we now want is the lights to be extinguished atop the safety car, which is the sign that it will be coming in at the end of the lap.
Well, no indication that that is about to happen. Most important is that they deal first of all with the slippery surface, and we'll take a little while. Just realised it's the first time they've used slick tyres today, isn't it? Wet tyres this morning for the qualification race. And although they were weaving the cars this morning, I would imagine the amount of heat they could get in the tyres was fairly negligible in the conditions this morning. But now confirmation comes that the safety car will come in at the end of this lap. That's good news. So let's get that tyre warming process underway, guys, because we are about to get racing back underway at the end of what this will be 7 laps complete.
And Arvin Lindblad did a really good job on the restart first time around, but Charles Lung will know that this is his opportunity to have a go for P1. Jack Beaton likewise against Rashid Al-Dahiri for 3rd place. And Freddie Slater, if he's on his toes, ought to be able to gain a place or 2 or 3 from the timing line all the way around to Lisboa. But there must be a real feeling of the one that got away for Freddie in terms of a podium. Because I think top 10 would be as good as it would get from here on, but let's see. And again, Arvin Lindblad virtually parks the car and tricks everybody into thinking, right, it's going to be a really slow run now, and then it's up to him when he goes. But once you go, you've got to keep going. You can't go and slow, because obviously the chain reaction behind is dangerous. Now he goes, now he accelerates as he heads into Fisherman's Bend, turns right, he's on the power, and he's 2 lengths up from Charles Lung, who is taking Rashid Al-Dahiri with him. Yeah,
Charles Lung had watched and learnt, if you like, what the protocol was going to be from the race leader on the previous lap. Watched Freddie Slater do it. Has not been able to do it quite as well as Freddie, but was not bad on the restart, that's for sure, because Charles Lung hasn't got a big gap between himself and the leader as they head now down on this run towards the fast part of the circuit, and ultimately the run down towards Lisboa, where, if anywhere, the race leader would come under pressure from Charles Lung.
Race leaders go out of Mandarin, and Lung is in the slipstream, and Rashid Al-Dahiri is in the slipstream of Lung as well. So Charles Lung knows this is an opportunity, thinks about the inside line again, goes to the outside, but Lindblad knows how to defend into this corner and survives again. So Lung right under his rear wing, he's closed right up thanks to the slipstream, and he's brought Rashid Al-Dahiri with him. So it's 3 for the lead as they head up San Francisco.
Using every possible tactic to get round there that time at Lisboa, and I almost thought he was going to do it. Oh dear, 2 more cars. One is the car of Thomas Leung, and the other is the car of Liu Qi-shun. So 2 cars down at Lisboa again.
Which hopefully can be moved just with the crane rather than needing a safety car. This is how they all got there then. So straight through the middle, no chance of slowing down, was the rather errant 22 of Thomas Leung. and the innocent victim and all of that just completely harpooned. But again, there was no way that car was going to slow down, and no wonder contact was made.
And so Arvid Lindblad has tried twice now to use his unique form of restart. Is he going to do the same 3 times? Are we going to have a safety car intervention? I'm pretty sure we will.
Well, I was hoping that because those cars are at the escape road, they might be brainable, but we'll see. It's late in the lap, isn't it, for a safety car, because this is Macau hairpin. Now, okay, the safety car can be deployed from pit exit, but we'll find out in a moment as the cars then come through. Arvid Lindblad still with the green lights flashing. Look at the lead he's built over the remaining, what, 2/3 of that lap over Charles Leung. So it looks as though Lindblad is away and gone, and if you aren't able to make the pass early in the lap, then that's pretty much game over. Lindblad able to control it all the way across the top of the gear circuit. He's coming up now to the end of lap number 8 in this Macau F4 race. They're second and third. Charles Leung just ahead of the turquoise car of Rashid Al-Daheri, the Emirati driver, and he in turn has got away from Jack Beaton in 4th place. Somebody else with damage has dropped a nose cone on the circuit.
Can't see who that is at this stage, but the car is limping round, so it's probably slightly more than just losing the no cone. And the reason that Charles Leung has maybe dropped back a little bit more now from the race leader is because he is under huge pressure from Al-Daheri as they go through Mandarin on the run down towards Lisboa. Watch Al-Daheri this time. What's he going to do? Pull out from the slipstream over to the left-hand side of the circuit on the run down towards the corner.
Can't overtake. Yellow flags, yellow lights.
Of course.
So whatever he thinks, he's got to sit there. And that shows intent against Charles Leung. So Charles thinks, OK, right, I know what you're up to next lap. So that was a really wasted opportunity through no fault of his own for Al-Daheri.
Yeah, it was. And you're quite right, no safety car. And that incident down at Lisboa, I forgot about it. I think he might have done as well.
That was a very, very big hit into the wall coming out of Fisherman's Bend. So it was more than just losing the nose cone. And
that's why the car is limping slowly, because the suspension broken on the left-hand side. Yeah,
that was Martinius Stenzel. So all that good work again comes to naught.
I know, but he's impressed.
Yes, largely. The pace was good, but
yeah,
one too many accidents over the weekend. But again, it's all about being a young learning driver, isn't it? Freddie Slater is up into the top 10.
Is he?
Yes.
Woohoo!
And I said 10th was as good as it might get. Well, he's not done yet, so Hadrian David is his next target. Freddie Slater 10th.
That's pretty good, isn't it? Pretty good. Now, I wonder, is that yellow flag going to be in at Lisboa this time when they come round? Yellow flag at immediately on the timing screen says yellow flag at turn 3. So answer, no, not yet. So they've got a bit more time yet. Around Donna Maria they go. They've got the Melco hairpin to deal with before the circuit opens up and gets quicker and quicker. And that is ultimately the run down towards that overtaking opportunity. Al-Daheri right on the tail of Charles Leung, the double winner of the Macau Grand Prix, as they go around the hairpin. And now the circuit opens up. Now the speed goes down. And already the race leader is out of shot, because this battle for second place could well be a 3-car battle before too long, couldn't it? Because Jack Beaton is closing up onto the back of Al-Daheri as well. That's our race leader. And once again, like it was in the qualification race this morning, very, very impressive for Arvid Lindblad. Up towards the line they go. 9 laps completed now for the race leader, and we are green flag down at turn 3. So now maybe a change for position potentially for second place is more on.
So Al-Daheri gets into the draft, doesn't he now, and stays in the slipstream. Jack Beaton has caught back up as well, looking 4th place, so possibly helped by this squabble going on ahead of him. Down they come then towards Lisboa, and this yellow light there just blinks off, but down they come into the braking zone. I don't think Al-Daheri is going to be able to commit, but look what's going on behind for 5th. Ethan Ho versus Rafael Narak. They were side by side. Freddie Slater has just done the fastest lap of the race, by the way, in 10th spot. So he's continuing to push as the 2nd, 3rd, 4th fight heads up San Francisco. This time around, this being now lap 10.
Al-Daheri was not quite as close that time as he was on the previous lap, which is unfortunate for him, because on the previous lap there was a yellow flag at Lisboa. This time there wasn't, but wasn't quite as close. I wonder if some of that is because Jack Beaton has closed up right on the back, so not just a question of attacking, but also a question of defence as well for Rashid Al-Daheri, and closes up onto the back of Charles Leung. Now they're on the twisty part of the circuit. But fair play to Freddie Slater after a problem that we can only assume is some kind of electrical problem. The car slowed right the way down from second place, dropped all the way down to 18th place, and now the recovery drive is quite impressive. The 2:24.978 is the fastest lap of this race, the only car to duck down into the 2:24s around the gear circuit here at Macau. And now we do have a three-car battle for second place and third place, because Jack Beaton is closed right up on the back of number 14, Rashid Al-Daheri.
As Arvin Lindblad continues to build that lead. So yeah, Beaton closing on Al-Daheri, who in turn is right there on the back of Charles Lung, and he's got a bit stuck, hasn't he? He's not been able to make a pass, but Charles Lung doesn't have the pace to get away either. So down they come through Black Sands towards the completion of this 10th lap of the Macau F4 race. There's a yellow flag at turn 18 as well, so there's been another drama. And that drama has happened coming through Donna Maria. That is turn 18. So there it is, another car off the circuit, and 96 brings out the safety car then. So the safety car is deployed for Xiao Kun Peng, and that is a third safety car period. And you know what I'm thinking. They might not have enough time left to get this back underway, because there are 2 laps to go now.
Yeah, they're on lap number 11, 10 laps completed now by the top 8. And yeah, with safety car deployed and a car stricken on circuit, Freddie Slater makes up 1 place on that lap, so up into 9th place. A great drive, great recovery drive for Freddie. The pace is never in question, is it?
No. Trouble is, the safety car, I think, missed the leaders. And so it's there, look in the background, with the lights on green, saying to the others behind, you can go past. But by the time they've gone and they've scooped up the leaders, it's all going to be too late. So here is how we lost Xiao Jun Peng. It was coming through police towards Moorish, and bang, into the wall.
Good avoidance by the following cars as well, because you don't expect to come around that corner and find the tail end of a Formula 4 car just sticking out from the barrier. So good driving, good anticipation. What do you do now if you're these top 4 but go slow? And
yeah, I mean, you back off and you obey the flag signals and you look for the safety car. You don't know where it is.
You can't look in your mirrors for it, can you?
No.
Because that's where it is.
Exactly. But the safety car, in a sense, if this were a wider conventional circuit, it could speed up and try and overtake the leaders. But around here, that's too risky.
Yeah. Yeah, you're absolutely right. It's got the power, hasn't it?
It has got the power. But
Betty's tempted.
What it means is that it's going to be quite a lot of unravelling, and so the race is going to end under the safety car, because we're on lap 11.
Most definitely, yeah.
So we've got a result, I'm afraid.
We have a result. Into police they go, and well, we haven't got a result, because one of the cars could do what Freddie did and have some unfortunate problem and then not get to the conclusion of 12 laps.
Yeah, I'd love to know exactly what that was. He didn't pit, carried on, and clearly 9th. He had done the fastest lap, although Arvin Lindblad won that back last time. I don't think Freddie Slater will get to the press conference, of course, for the 9th, but those are the people that will know ultimately. Frankie Rossan standing over his engineers, looking at all of the data, and he's the person to try and ask post-race, no doubt.
Technology is wonderful. I love it. I use it as part of my everyday life. It can be terribly frustrating sometimes, can't it?
Yeah.
These are pretty technologically advanced cars for what is essentially the first rung on the Slicks and Wings ladder to Formula 1.
And so, as Arvin Lindblad comes down through Fisherman's Bend, he's about to start the last lap of the race, still looking for a safety car.
So essentially he is the safety car. He's also the race leader at the moment, and that's Arvin Lindblad, who has not put a wheel wrong over the course of this weekend.
Next weekend, for the Formula 3 Grand Prix, there will be a virtual safety car, and that kind of gets away from these problems, because you don't have to get the safety car anywhere with a pack of cars. You just slow people down, clear the incident, and assuming it's not too long and the tyres have dropped in temperature, you can let them go again. Or at least by a virtual safety car, or a full course yellow as it's called in other categories, you can slow everybody down and then deploy the safety car at your leisure. In a short race like this, maybe leisure is something that you don't have, but in the end, these drivers are now going to head to the checkered flag this time in this week.
And so Arvin Lindblad won the qualification race today. He put the car on pole position in qualifying yesterday, which was a thrilling final 10 minutes to the qualifying session. Through Lisboa, he leads the field. Charles Leung finishes up in second place with his teammates ahead. Double winner of the Macau Grand Prix.
And third is behind Charles Leung, going to be Rashid Al-Tahiri. Jack Beaton set for fourth place, and Ethan Ho fifth. Thiago Rodriguez sixth, Adrian David is seventh, Enzo Ye is eighth, and Freddie Slater, in a real yo-yo kind of a race, is in ninth spot. The race will finish behind the safety car, except Arvin Lindblad thinks, what safety car? Never saw it, Gov.
Well, we've seen drivers being shown little videos on phones when they got back to the pit lane to explain the excitement that happened earlier on in their race, things that they wouldn't have been aware of. Adam Christodoulou in the GT4 race had a very, very, very near miss.
That's right, yes.
Behind him as he went into Lisboa. Didn't know anything about it really until he was shown on one of his team's mobile phones, probably a screen grab of the television set, and showed him, and the look on Adam's face when he saw what had gone on behind him, and probably the same is going to happen as far as the race leader is concerned. Where was the safety car? Let us show you. It was there, but it was just a little way back. And so, assuming the role of safety car leading the field is Arvin Lindblad, who in fairness has had the perfect weekend this weekend.
I was going off on a tangent. I was at a race in Austria last year where there was an incident on the first lap of the GT race. The safety car was deployed, and one of the cars involved in the incident got going and was rather delayed. And so at the end of the next lap, the safety car, to avoid the incident, brought the field through the pit lane. The car in question was so far back, it did not see everybody else go through the pits, came hammering over the line, hunting down the pack for the safety car, and took the lead. It overtook the safety car, which was still trundling through the pit lane. And mayhem broke out in trying to understand, first of all, how the car had got the lead, because that's not the sort of thing that a timing screen necessarily shows. And then, how do we redress this? What penalty can we give? Because it's technically overtaken the safety car, but the safety car was in the pits. So anyway, we kind of got there in the end, but it was one of those situations that took a lot of unravelling. And when the race director sends you a WhatsApp message saying, how is that in the lead? You realise that it's a troublesome moment. Anyway, the Macau F4 race will be won by Arvin Lindblad from Charles Leung and Rashid Al-Tahiri. It's a shame it has to end under the safety car like this, but that has been the situation. But Arvin Lindblad deserves that win because he has put in a really outstanding weekend.
Certainly has done. The pace car did, the safety car did peel off into the pit lane just there. And then we have our race winner. So the winner of the Macau Formula 4 Race for 2023 is Arvin Lindblad. He won the qualification race this morning. He took pole position in qualifying yesterday afternoon. And now he takes the win of the big one, the main race of the first weekend of the 70th Macau Grand Prix. Arvin Lindblad takes the win and takes the applause of the crowd, and so too a very happy team for the first time today. There you go. It was worth getting up early, wasn't it? First race of the day and last race of the day, and it has gone very, very well for the team, and so too for Arvin Lindblad. He takes the win. Double winner of the Macau Grand Prix, Charles Leung, completes the race in second place, and Rashid Al-Tahiri in third place completes our podium.
Jack Beaton missing out. He's fourth ahead of Ethan Ho, and Thiago Rodriguez, who I've kind of talked up all weekend, and I feel a bit of a fraud in a way, because Thiago never quite clicked in the way that he has in the Chinese F4 Championship. But, I mean, sixth place is not bad, but he wasn't really able to take it to the international drivers. And Ethan Ho, even though he is from the region that races mainly in America, doing a good job to take that fifth place. Freddie Slater ninth, and oh, what it could have been.
Yeah, that was a superb comeback, but unfortunately, I think we can fairly confidently say a problem. It was nothing at all to do with Freddie. It was a problem with the car, but we don't know for sure until we get the final verdict from the team.
The only thing I can think of is if it wasn't an electrical glitch, that maybe he just touched a switch or something, but you know, we won't know until post-race.
But either way, it was superb before that problem, the performance from Freddie, and exciting. Having a look down at Lisboa twice, once after a safety car restart, once at the start of the race, but also the recovery drive from 18th place to 9th place, so finishing in the top 10. Well done, Freddie, once again proving that you are certainly one to watch.
Well, I suspect we will see him again at Macau. probably before long in a Formula 3 car. But Freddie Slater doing a very, very good job indeed to take 9th. But Arvin Lindblad, who also has his sights to move on and up, and I think we said on the grid, did we not, that he's a Red Bull athlete? Well, a win at Macau gets the attention of Helmut Marko, and that perhaps puts him in an even more prominent position for his Red Bull ascendancy to wherever that takes him next, possibly towards Formula Regional or Formula 3 for next year. But a mighty drive by Arvid Lindblad, and the cars then come through Melco hairpin right now and towards Parc Fermé, where already the scrutineering officials await, and so too do the photographers. There'll of course be the podium for Arvid Lindblad, for Charles Leung and Rashid Al-Daheri, and then the drivers will head to the press conference, and the celebrations then will get underway, and the hard luck stories will begin as an echo. So to the pit lane comes Arvid Lindblad with the car of Charles Leung in behind. And then Rashid Al-Daheri taking 3rd place. Jack Beaton, best of the rest, taking in the end 4th spot. And then for 5th, Ethan Ho and Thiago Rodriguez 6th. But it's the top 3 that we will have for the podium. And then, of course, there will be the Formula 4 press conference taking place after the podiums.
I think we'll hear from the drivers on the podium as well, with Chris, our circuit commentator in English. They do the circuit commentary here at Macau in 4 languages. So they have Mandarin, so 2 Chinese languages, and also Portuguese and English as well. And now the celebration for a winner here at Macau, and stands atop the car. Arvid Lindblad, very, very happy as he makes his way over towards the team. Hugs this morning, hugs this evening, and 100% record this weekend. And there we go, just undoing the intercom wires so the helmet can come off without any problem at all. After hugs all around for Arvid, he'll be pretty happy with that.
Tremendous effort. So the British driver goes to the scales, because the regulations dictate that the weight of car driver combined has to be no less than a given number. And then if all that's good, then he is sent towards the podium, and the podium ceremony will round out the day, but the camera can't go in, only the driver.
Yes, we're left in no doubt.
Yes.
You can't come along here.
Yes, nothing to see here.
only the drivers move away.
Yeah. Just to go back to your point about the way that the fans are treated with the different languages, it's not the same person doing it in 4 languages.
No.
There's an army of people. Arvin Lindblad it is that wins the race from Charles Leung and Rashid Al-Daheri. That's the podium. Jack Beaton 4th from Ethan Ho and Thiago Rodriguez. Hadrian David from Enzo Ye. Freddie Slater 9th after his dramas. And Kai Darinani, who crashed this morning, rounding out the top 10. Decent recovery from him as well.
So that's confirmation of the final race result for the Macau Formula 4 race this weekend. And of course, next weekend, Formula 4 is replaced by Formula 3, FIA Formula 3 cars for our single-seater enjoyment next weekend. 4 days for the Macau Grand Prix, starting on Thursday with free practice and a little smattering of qualifying, and then qualifying and a little smattering of racing on Friday, and then